Welcome in everybody to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I am your host, Devin, joined by my co-host, Jaden. And we got a jam-packed episode for you guys today. We got NFL trades. We're buying and selling stock and teams. We got fantasy football talk. We even got some fun off-the-field topics to go over today. So I'm super excited. But before every single episode, we got to get into pregame talk. I'm going to toss that over to my man, Jaden, and let him get into it.
Yeah, so today's pregame talk is going to be a little subtle foreshadowing into a topic we're going to talk about later in this episode. And that's going to be, how long of a leash do you think these rookie quarterbacks should be getting? Like, for example, Anthony Richardson. I'm not saying that the Colts are necessarily done with him or anything, but in your opinion, how long of a leash do you think these rookie quarterbacks, from the past should be getting?
Yeah. That's a good question because that is something that I definitely am going to touch on later in this episode. I think it changes with quarterback to quarterback, and I think the leash is different in different instances. And what I mean by that is this: I think they have a short leash on being a starter for the team that drafted them. Teams obviously are, I wouldn't say giving up on these quarterbacks too early, but at the end of the day, these coaches and these GMs' jobs are on the line. And if they're investing, a top 10, a top 15, even a first round pick in you, and, you're 2-3 years into it and there is, no signs of growth, unfortunately, in this league, it moves fast. You got to develop fast and you got to become a good quarterback immediately. And I think that's unfortunate. And I don't want to say it's caused by some of the recent immediate success that we've seen from quarterbacks, because you look back at a player like Peyton Manning, who was obviously the number 1 overall pick, and he came into the league, not great. Obviously, quarterbacks have never dominated in history like they have now, but what did he throw? Like 23 interceptions as a rookie, and that trend continued for like his first. Yeah. So it was not pretty. And that trend was like common throughout his first few years in the NFL. So when you look at a player like that, even like, maybe I'm mistaken, but even like Eli Manning had some struggle start to his career. But I do think that they have a short leash on being a starter, but I think they have a longer leash to stay in the NFL. You know what I mean? You look at quarterbacks like Daniel Jones, who obviously took over the starting job of Anthony Richardson, but he was the 7th or 9th overall pick for the Giants, played out, I think, his entire rookie contract, got that second contract from the Giants after one good year, because as soon as they saw it, they were like, all right, we're going to give this guy the keys. And 1 year after that, when he didn't show it, that following year, they got rid of him. So I think they have a short leash on being a starter, but a long leash as far as staying in the NFL. Like Anthony Richardson, I don't know what's going to happen really with him in Indianapolis. That, tenured may be coming to an end very shortly, but I do believe he's going to be in this league for, I would say at bare minimum, another 3 or 4 more years, just bouncing around team to team, trying to see if he can find his footing, because he is super talented. And that's the unfortunate part when you talk about taking a quarterback like him so highly, is Anthony Richardson was not immediately pro ready. Everybody knew that. He did not have a ton of college games under his belt. He was a hell of an athlete, had a hell of an arm, but he was not, a great quarterback in college. And you brought him in knowing that he needs those snaps. He needs development. And it just seems like the Colts haven't given that to him. And it does suck because he's dealt with injuries now in his first 2 years and now looking like his first 3 years in the league. So it's such a tough situation when it comes to that. How long should you give them? I think, in my opinion, I think 3 years is a good amount of time in today's NFL, but it is unfortunate because you even see people like, Justin Fields, who so many people advocate for, and, he had a longer leash in Chicago, didn't really, prove or do anything. And obviously Chicago is not a great spot for quarterbacks to develop, but he goes over, to New York, and we'll see how that, goes. But Yeah, I do think the leash for quarterbacks is getting shorter and shorter, especially when you look at guys like Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, these players who come out the gate and are just unreal. But if there is signs, you do get players like Josh Allen, who Josh Allen in his rookie season, even though the stats may not show it off the paper, like off the counting stats, he was probably the worst starting quarterback in the league that year. And even in his second year, he wasn't very good. But in his third year, he expanded the throw for like 37 touchdowns, just won an MVP, one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. So you'll have products like that every now and then. But yeah, I think unfortunately, the leash for these quarterbacks are pretty short. And, if you don't show it immediately, these teams, these coaches, these GMs, they got their jobs on the line and, they don't got time to waste. So I think it's unfortunate what's going on with Anthony Richardson. And like Jaden mentioned, we're going to get into that later on in the episode. But yeah, I don't think these quarterbacks have that long of a leash anymore. But that was a great question. Great pregame talk, like always. Before we get into any buy or sell, we do got some NFL news to go over. We got a bunch of trades this week. I mean, you would have thought this was the trade deadline with how many trades we got. We got Brian Robinson traded to the 49ers for a 6th-round pick. We got Devon Vele traded to the Saints for a 4th and a 7th-round pick. Harrison Phillips traded to the Jets for 2 6th-round picks and a 7th. Sky Moore and a 7th-round pick traded to the Niners for a 6th-round pick. And finally, Jawan Briggs and a 7th-round pick traded to the Jets for a 6th-round pick. Obviously, no record-breaking trades here, nothing that's going to shatter the NFL, nothing that's going to shake it up too much. But we do got some interesting things here. Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be the second running back in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan confirmed that this week. So I think that could do something for the league. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is a player that's dealt with a ton of injuries in his career. So Brian Robinson could see some meaningful time over there in San Fran. But the one that I wanted to talk about is Devon Vele getting traded to the Saints for a 4th and a 7th-round pick. Devon Vele last year was a 6th-round pick, I want to say. Maybe he was 7th, but he was a very, very late pick. And he showed, some flashes that he could be a solid receiver in this NFL. But to trade a 4th-round pick for that feels really, really rich. You know what I mean? This player last year was nearly undrafted, and you gave up a 4th-round pick is not nothing. Obviously, it's not a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, but a 4th-round pick, you can bring in some valuable talent. And I just don't know if I agree with that. That one still has my head turning. Harrison Phillips to the Jets. Harrison Phillips is a solid player. Nothing too crazy. Sky Moore, obviously, has never figured it out yet in the NFL over there in KC. Maybe he can start doing some great things for the Niners. Jawan Briggs is actually not the worst player, but also not the greatest. Also to the Jets. We have two. I kind of didn't even click to me. But the Jets made 2 trades and the Niners made 2 trades. So 2 teams that are being very active before the season starts. So trade week in the NFL, nothing too crazy. Probably Brian Robinson, the only one that's going to make some real impact in the league as far as this season. But, nonetheless, good things to talk about. The last bit of news that I wanted to talk about before we get into buying and selling NFL teams. Last episode, we were going over and unders for every single team. And one of my locks that I had was the Houston Texans at 9.5. And I made that lock because, one, I believe in CJ Stroud a ton. I think their receiving room, even though they lost Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell is going to be out for, I don't know if he's out for the whole season, but he's out for a lot of it. I do think their receiving core is solid, obviously trading for Christian Kirk, bringing in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel in the draft. And I think their defense is super underrated. I think it's easily a top 10 defense, probably pushing top 5. But the reason I bring that up, and this specifically is going to give me more confidence in that lock, is for the first time in his, and I'm reading this a direct quote, for the first time in his NFL career, Stroud will be able to change predictions and call audibles before the snap. Houston will be leaning on Stroud's knowledge and feel for the game in ways it didn't over the past 2 years. It's the type of control that the best quarterbacks across the league enjoy, from Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City to Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. But with that comes another layer of pressure for Stroud. And I agree. I agree with that last part. It does come with another layer of pressure. But I think without a doubt, CJ Stroud is a top 10 quarterback in this league. And for a player of that caliber to not have that type of control over his offense feels crazy. And the fact that now he finally can, I get it. The offensive line is not pretty. The running back room with, Joe Mixon dealing with these injuries may not be the greatest. But when you give a top 10 quarterback full control over the offense and you give him Nico Collins, who's a top 10 wide receiver, you give him Christian Kirk in the slot, who is solid for sure. As far as, I guess he's going to be their number 2. As far as number 2, he's not super high on that list, but Christian Kirk is a solid receiver. And then you bring in 2 very talented rookies. I mean, Jaden Higgins going in the second, he's going to be featured in this offense a lot. You don't draft a second-round wide receiver to not do that. So I love this for them. I can't believe that this hasn't been the case for his first 2 years in the league. And you think about how great he was that rookie season, obviously a bit of a sophomore slump. But with this amount of control over his offense, I mean, I just have a ton of confidence in that. I think the defense is not going to take any type of step back. And this offense, despite the offensive line dip, I think it also has a chance to take a leap when you give a player of CJ Stroud's caliber that much control over his offense. So Houston Texans, I locked their over last episode, and I'm sticking on that for sure. So that's all the NFL news we have to go over in today's episode. And I guess without further ado, we can get into these buying and selling NFL teams. I personally have 3 buys and 3 sells. And I want to emphasize this before I get into this. When I am buying or selling an NFL team, I'm not, buying them for a playoffs or for a Super Bowl. And if I'm selling them, I'm not saying, oh, this team's going to pick top 5 in the draft now. It is all what their own, expectations are, right? For a team like the Titans, right? Say, for example, spoiler alert, I did not buy or sell the Titans in this video. But if I were to buy them, I am not buying them saying that they're going to make the playoffs, saying that they're going to do this or that. I am buying them that A, I think Cam Ward's going to look great as a rookie. And B, I think the team is going to take major strides from a team that was, the worst in the NFL last year. I think last year they won 3 games. If the Titans were to win 6 games, they double their win total, and Cam Ward puts together a solid rookie season, that's a great buy. Like, that is what I'm buying. I'm not buying that they're going to be this outstanding team. He's going to have a CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels type of rookie season. I'm just buying their own expectations. And their own expectations is to have Cam Ward look good as a rookie and to take a step forward. That's all it is. Just take one step forward at a time. And again, if I'm selling a team, like for example, if I were to sell the Chiefs, obviously, spoiler alert again, I did not buy or sell them. But if I were to sell them, I'm not saying that this team can't be great, not saying that they can't be the 1 seed. But for example, the Chiefs just went to 3 straight Super Bowls. So at the minimum, this team should be an AFC championship team. Maybe I'm selling that. Maybe I think this is going to be the number 2 seed in the AFC West, and they're going to lose in the divisional to the Bills or the Ravens or whoever it may be. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know obviously if I'm selling your favorite team, you're probably thinking I'm going to think they're going to be terrible. That's not what it is. It's what their own expectations are is what I'm buying or selling. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get into my first team I'm buying, and that's the Chicago Bears. If you are a Chicago Bears fan, you are going to love me this season because I love this team. I'm a huge fan of Caleb Williams, and with the amount of talent that they've brought in on that offensive side of the ball to help him, it's absurd. I am buying so much stock in this team. You improve that offensive line, bringing in Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson. I know everybody's talked about that the entire offseason, but those are not small upgrades. Like those are very, very good offensive linemen. Joe Thuney was an all-pro last year. Drew Dahlman was one of the best centers. Jonah Jackson is one of the most underrated guards in the league. These are not, slight upgrades. In the draft, you bring in Luther Burden and Colson Loveland. Unreal talents. Luther Burden, a year and a half ago now, he was potentially wide receiver 1 in that class. He had a bit of a down year, but I still think he's going to be super productive. Now, it is looking like he's potentially going to be their wide receiver 4, but I don't know if that's going to stay the case all year. I think Luther Burden has a real chance to take over that wide receiver 3 spot. And probably the biggest addition, not probably, the biggest addition of this team of the entire offseason is newly head coach Ben Johnson. Arguably the best offensive mind in football, is working with an offense that features Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, as I mentioned, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. I really like this team, man. I don't see a world how they don't succeed. I think they are going to be a playoff team this year. I understand they're in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, but the Bears are a team that I just really, really like. They bring in Dennis Allen to be their new defensive coordinator. And although Dennis Allen is not the greatest head coach in the world, I think we can all, understand that. As a defensive coordinator, he's pretty good. He specializes in defense. So I think that defense is going to be solid. I think the offense is going to be without a doubt top 10. And as long as that defense can stay around, 15, 14 to 18, that range, I think this team should be a playoff team. I think it's going to be a double-digit win team. And I think Caleb Williams is going to bounce back like no other. One of the, not pretty spots of that team last year, despite being the number 1 overall pick. Now, obviously that team was a complete mess last year, and this is the complete opposite this year. I am buying so much stock in the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to be such a great team this year. I'm so excited to watch Caleb Williams in this offense. This is probably going to be a top 3 team for me as far as watch time. Obviously, the Raiders are going to be number 1. And if I'm off the top of my head, Ravens probably 2, and then probably Bears. I mean, this team is really excited, and I can't wait. I can't wait. You don't see that often. You don't hear people say that too often, but I cannot wait to watch the Bears play football. So first team I'm buying is the Chicago Bears. I was going to do my 3 buys and my 3 sells separately, start off with buying blank, 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 and then after do my selling. But I'm going to go 1 buy, 1 sell. So my first buy, like I said, the Chicago Bears. And my first sell is going to be from that same division, and that's the Detroit Lions. They lost both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator this offseason. They bring in John Morton, who was the former Broncos pass game coordinator, to take over the offensive coordinator role. And they bring in Kelvin Shepard, who was their linebackers coach, who got promoted to now their DC. And that is obviously the biggest reason that I'm selling this team. Losing both of those coordinators, I cannot overemphasize it enough that is such a big loss. You look at that Eagles team from, I believe that was 2 years ago now, where they made the Super Bowl, was a few plays away from potentially winning it, and then they lose both of their coordinators. And then they start off the season hot. They start off 11-1. And then I think they lost every single game after that, including in the wild card to the Buccaneers, maybe? Yeah, to the Buccaneers. So I don't know if the Lions will have that type of season, but I think it will be similar. I think this team is still going to be good. I think they're still going to be effective. I think they're still going to be, a top 2, top 3 seed in the NFC, potentially even number 1. Because you look at last year, this was a team that had the most players on IR last season, and they still got the number 1 seed. Now, unfortunately, I wouldn't say they got embarrassed to the Commanders, but for a team that I think, despite the amount of players that were on IR, I think a lot of people still took the Lions in that game. And for the Commanders to come out and do that to them is unfortunate. Obviously, if this team was at full health, I do think they win that game. But they weren't. So that's just, it kind of is what it is. And I don't want to say that the Super Bowl window is closing because that feels a bit extreme. But obviously the past 2 years kind of felt like it could have been their year when you look back 2 years ago where they were up by 20 points or 21 points to the 49ers and lost that game. And then last year where, man, it does suck. I really wish we could have saw this team fully healthy. Aiden Hutchinson was going to run away with that Defensive Player of the Year. But I think last year, if this team is fully healthy, I do think it's a different story. But obviously the last 2 years coming up short, you go into this year trying to, find new coordinators, trying to find your identity once again. I think it can just be scary. And I know Jared Goff has looked great for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, he was still pretty good when he played for the Rams. But it does concern me when he goes up against certain talent and he doesn't perform the same as when he's not playing those teams, right? You look at last season, quarterbacks against playoff teams versus non-playoff teams. Jared Goff, his offensive grade was a 90.4. That was top 5 amongst all quarterbacks. His passing grade was 88.5. Again, top 5 amongst all quarterbacks. And his EPA per play was .44. That was number 1 amongst all quarterbacks versus non-playoff teams. Then you look at it when he's not going against non-playoff teams. These are the teams that made the playoffs. He had an offensive grade of 63.4, a passing grade of 62, and an EPA per play of .11, .11. Those are drastic drops. That is a top 5 quarterback going to, a bottom 10 quarterback. So when I look at that, when I look at them losing, like I said, maybe the best offensive mind in football in Ben Johnson, it scares me. And I know they still have a ton of talent. They still have Jahmyr Gibbs. They still have David Montgomery. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They still have Jameson Williams. I'm not saying that this team cannot be good, but I'm saying I'm selling them as being a legit contender. I don't know if I can look at this team and say, hey, I believe this team is going to make the NFC Championship. I believe this team is going to make the Super Bowl. I believe this team is going to win the Super Bowl. And those are the expectations for the Lions this season. You don't get the number 1 seed last year. You don't go to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago to not have Super Bowl on your mind. So for me, I'm selling the Lions this year as a legit contender. So that is my first sell, first buy being the Chicago Bears. And my second buy, I know it's going to be biased. I'm sorry, but it is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. This team was really, really bad. Really, really bad last year. Similar to the Chicago Bears, and their offense has took a complete 180. Not as much as the Bears, but it's huge improvements. On the offensive side of the ball, you bring in Geno Smith, you bring in Ashton Genty, you bring in Jack Besh, Dante Thornton Jr. in the draft, you bring in Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly. It's a completely revamped offense. You already had talents like Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Colton Miller on the offensive side of the ball, and you keep building on that. Now, I know people are going to hear those names, and it's not like I'm not talking about Justin Jefferson or Josh Allen or this and that. But when you look at the talent that the Raiders had last season, and this is what they've upgraded to, I mean, it is unreal. We were playing quarterbacks that shouldn't even be, not only shouldn't be starting in this league, probably shouldn't even be in the league, period. And then you go to Geno Smith, who, despite what people say, is a damn good quarterback. You go from the worst running back room in the league to the best running back in the draft, and probably a consensus top 10 running back before he's even taken a snap. You go from one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the league last year to Jacoby Myers, Jack Besh, Dante Thornton Jr., Trey Tucker, who that obviously doesn't jump them to like top 10 or anything, but you got a lot of explosive playmakers. And obviously one of the most explosive playmakers in the league in Brock Bowers. And then you bring in Chip Kelly, who's been a great offensive coordinator in college. Obviously the NFL is a different type of game, but I have no doubt that Chip Kelly is going to be able to come back to the NFL and do similar things that he's doing in college, because he was running an NFL offense with little, college tricks in there. But that was an NFL offense. You can go ask anybody. You can go watch the film. That was an NFL offense that he was running at Ohio State. And I got so much confidence in this offense. The defense still scares me. Not a lot of talent there. Obviously, Max Crosby, one of the best players in the NFL. Patrick Graham, who's a very respected defensive coordinator. Outside of that, it's not pretty. But again, I'm not buying this team saying that they're going to do anything crazy. But for a team last year that won 4 games, I want to say maybe 5, for a team of that caliber that was that bad last year, and the offense that was probably the worst in the NFL, if not bottom 2, bottom 3, I think this team has a real chance to be knocking on the door of a top 10-ish. I think that they can be in that 15 to 11 range. I don't think that's that crazy. And that's what I'm buying. I think this is a 7 to 9 win team, and that's a massive improvement. You know what I mean? The Raiders have seen a lot of bad football recently, and to go from what they've been watching to this, I'm buying that. I'm buying that this team can be very great offensively. So that is my second buy, the Las Vegas Raiders. My second sell of the video is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, we touched on this subject earlier in the video, but the Anthony Richardson situation is really the reason why I'm selling this team. This was a team that I liked, going into the offseason. I think their defense is super underrated. I think they have a ton of talents on the offensive side of the ball. They still have a very, very good offensive line. And I just thought you give Anthony Richardson all of that, and I don't see how it can't work. You know what I mean? Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, you draft Tyler Warren, you still have Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the better running backs in the league. And I'm just like, how could this not work? It's his 3rd year, first 2 years, unfortunately, dealing with injuries. You think, okay, over the offseason, he's really going to lock it in. He's really going to come back and be that quarterback that everybody wants him to be. And he gets benched for Daniel Jones. And it's like, how much confidence can I have in this player when he's getting benched for a quarterback like Daniel Jones, who Daniel Jones in this league, I mean, let's just be honest, folks. He's been terrible. He's been a bad quarterback. And you're getting benched for that? A team that invested the number 4 overall pick in you, and you're getting benched for Daniel Jones? It's scary, scary times over there for Indianapolis. And like I said, man, it's unfortunate because I looked at that defense and I looked at that offense, and it's one of those teams where it's like it's not to that level because I think this offense is way more talented than that. But it's like that Jets team from a few years ago where it's like, oh, you have Breece Hall, you have Garrett Wilson, you have all pros on the defensive side of the ball. All they need is that quarterback. And it's like, that's how I view this team, where it's like they have all of these pieces and all they needed was Anthony Richardson to just hit that threshold. And obviously that's a lot to ask from a player. Not easy to be, one of the better quarterbacks in this league or even an average quarterback in this league. That it's very hard. Quarterback might be the hardest position in all of sports. But it's unfortunate, man. I thought the Colts this year could be a playoff team. I thought they could be a very underrated team, potentially even win a playoff game. But with that whole situation, I don't know how much trust I have in a Daniel Jones-led team. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know. I don't have any confidence in a Daniel Jones team. I don't even know what else to say, man. I mean, Colts fans, you can let me know what you think about it. You can let me know if you think he's, been done bad, what the vibes are like over there for Colts Nation. But me personally, I'm selling this team. I don't know how much football I'm going to watch of a Daniel Jones led offense. So fortunately for me, I'm selling the Indianapolis Colts. The third and final team that I will be buying, and this is going to be a simple one because I am buying the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I know, folks. It's felt like their year for a lot of years now. Them and the Buffalo Bills, it's felt like, oh, this is finally the year that they're going to beat the Chiefs and they're going to go to the Super Bowl and they're going to beat, the Eagles or the Lions or the Niners or whoever it may be. I think this could be the year. You give that offense a second year with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And I want to emphasize this because I heard Brett Coleman talk about this on his podcast. And I think it was a great point, and it's something that I even thought in the beginning of last year. This Ravens defense, and specifically their secondary, was unfathomable last season for that beginning half. It was very bad. When you had a secondary of Eddie Jackson and Marcus Williams, that defense was horrid. And then they make some changes, and then they bring Kyle Hamilton back. They bring Adarius Washington back. And then it goes from maybe the worst secondary in the league to maybe the best. It just like that. So I think that changed their season a lot. I think the Ravens started 0-2 last year, and that really hurt them on getting home field advantage over the Bills in the playoffs. I think if that Ravens team, now I'm going into like some what ifs and this and that, but I think if the Ravens have home field advantage against the Bills last year, there's a world where they beat that team. They had a lot of mistakes out in that weather. You look at the Lamar fumble, the Andrews drop. Who knows? Obviously, that's not the exact same game that we get if that's played on, the Ravens field. But I think some of those issues and mistakes could have happened due to the weather and due to the playing conditions and whatever it may be. But I think a Ravens team at home, I would have liked them over the Bills last year. And obviously they didn't, but I think that's a big thing that some people don't realize when looking at that Ravens team last year. And this year, I just have a ton of confidence in them. You looked at that secondary last year and how bad it was. You bring in Jair Alexander and Malachi Starks. Really, really good upgrades. Obviously, Jair Alexander is not the player he once was. Everybody knows that. I still think he can be effective. And Malachi Starks, who was probably a top 10 player in the draft last year just based on talent, and you get him at the end of the first round, man, Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks as a safety duo, I'm buying that all day of the week. So my final buy is going to be the Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl. Some people might think that's crazy. Nah, not crazy, but some people might not believe that. But in my opinion, I think it's just their year, man. The Chiefs have had it the past 3 years. I think it's the Ravens' year. So that is my final buy. And my final sell for the video, unfortunately, because this is a team that I wanted to buy because I bought them a few years ago when they had such a great year. Well, 2 years ago now. But it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, I wanted to believe in after bringing in George Pickens, and you give a quarterback the level of Dak Prescott, that amount of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm like, dude, the last time he was healthy, the last time he had, CeeDee Lamb to throw the ball to, he put up arguable MVP numbers that specific year because it was a down year for quarterbacks. But I'm like, you look at that, and I think this team can be good again. And then the whole Micah situation happens. And I'm not sure if that's a fixable relationship. I mean, the way Jerry Jones is talking right now, I don't know if there's a single Cowboys fan who likes Jerry Jones. Not a single one. I don't think so. You can let me know different down in the comments, but I don't think there's a single Cowboys fan who wants that man owning their team. And like I said, I don't know if it's a fixable situations. Micah Parsons might literally be on a new team shortly here. So that defense without him is going to be really, really, really bad. Even that defense with him last season, they allowed the 5th most yards per play allowed, and they allowed the 4th most rushing yards of all teams. So that defense was already really bad last year. You lose a player of Micah's caliber who is easily a top 10, top 5, top 3 defensive player in this league. Just a top 10 player regardless, offense and defense. Micah Parsons is unreal. He might be the 2nd best edge rusher in the league outside of Myles Garrett. So I just look at that whole situation, and I wanted to buy this team. I wanted to believe that this could be a playoff team that could potentially make some noise. But when you have a player of that caliber and you can't get him to a contract, I don't know if I can buy this team anymore, and especially going forward. Because let's say they do get this contract done, I would, again, like them this year. I still even like that offense this year. But let's say they do get that contract done, you have so much money going towards Dak, CD, and Micah. And it's like outside of that, this team is not incredibly talented. They have a lot of holes. So I don't know, man. Me personally, I wanted so badly to be on the Cowboys side. Because like I said, 2 years ago when Dak was healthy and this team was looking good, I thought this team legitimately could have made a run, especially when the Eagles were having a down year. You know what I mean? You look at like, I want to say the Rams were not super hot. Or no, they started off bad 2 years ago, but then they fought back and did all that. I thought there was a real chance this team could have, potentially made an NFC championship game or even hell, a Super Bowl. But now I look at this team, man, and I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Still think they can be solid. Still going to tune into a lot of games. But a defense without Micah Parsons, I'm not buying that. So the Cowboys are unfortunately going to be my last sell. So the 3 teams I'm buying are the Bears, the Raiders, and the Ravens. 3 teams I'm selling are the Lions, Colts, and Cowboys. And before I move on to, obviously our fantasy football talk, Jaden, I know you were mentioning you were having trouble on which teams you wanted to buy or sell, but what are some that you're looking at this year that you're potentially buying or selling stock in?
Yeah, so I had my team I was selling on, and not necessarily selling to the degree where I think they're going to be horrible or like a bottom 5 team, but I'm selling.
Right.
I'm going to be selling the Steelers for them to not hit their historic 500 record, or better. They've hit that, 17 years in a row now. They've hit it their whole tenure with Mike Tomlin. I'm not sure if they hit it before that also, if they were on a little streak or whatever. But, yeah, Rodgers is very clearly washed at this point in his career. Their wide receiver room is very thin. They got DK Metcalf, but in getting DK Metcalf, they also traded away Pickens, and I like their running back room. Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, I like coming out the draft. Their offensive line is pretty bad, honestly. I mean, Zach Frazier had a solid rookie season. Mason McCormick was Fautanu, I believe he didn't even really play his rookie season, right? He got injured like super early.
I think so. That sounds right. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that sounds right.
Yeah, and Broderick Jones hasn't panned out. So I mean their offensive line is pretty mid to bad. And their defense, which is what's carried them over, these last couple years, their last 6 seasons, they've averaged a finish of at least the 8th best defense, and their offense has averaged a finish of 21st over the last 6 seasons. So it's very clearly obvious their defense has been carrying them to, kind of hit that mark, that 500 mark, whether that's a playoff appearance or not. But yeah, I mean, their best players are getting up there in age. T.J. Watt clearly took he's still elite, but he's not. I wouldn't consider him like a Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, or he's probably still on the same level as
even a Max Crosby.
Max
right?
Crosby is up there. But, he's still elite. I don't want to say T.J. Watt's bad, but I mean you can clearly see he took a step down in terms of his athletic ability last year. And Cameron Hayward's up there in age. They signed Darius Slay. They signed Jalen Ramsey. They're up there in age. Right. I like their safety duo, but, I mean, yeah. They did draft Derek Harmon in the first round. I kind of like that, but he's also dealing with an injury. He's going to miss the first, I think, month of the season at least.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think they're going to be horrible, but I don't think they're going to. I think this is finally going to be the year they don't hit that 500 mark.
Yeah, I don't mind that sell at all, because I do think, although their defense has been their most effective part of their team for a long time now, when you have a defense of that age, it's hard to ask that much of them over the course of a season. Almost all their stars on defense are 30 plus, so. Yeah, I can definitely.
They're also obviously in a pretty tough
that
division.
Right.
I mean, they
Yeah,
themselves
probably.
make that division tough. Obviously, I mean, they're not. I wouldn't say they're the weakest team in the division, but playing the
Yeah.
Ravens and Bengals 4 times a year, it's tough. And I think they
Yeah.
have like the 8th hardest schedule from like Vegas, projected win odds this year. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
the team I was thinking about buying is I'm
Mm-hmm.
still iffy on it, and the reason I'm buying it is going to be the Rams, and the reason I'm buying it is because the Stafford injury, and like that's potentially lowering their stock. People are worried about that. I'm not
Right.
I'm not going to act like I'm not worried about it, but back injury is pretty bad, and it's like a disc or something in his back, something like that. It doesn't sound amazing. And he's kind of giving, they're not giving a whole lot of details on whether he'll be ready week 1 or whatnot. I think, even if he misses week 1, I think he can, push through the season. He's played through injuries before. I mean, Stafford, he's a tough, gritty quarterback. That Super Bowl run,
Right.
he was playing on like a messed up ankle or something, and he also tweaked it in the Super Bowl or something like that. And obviously the Rams, they have amazing pass rush, probably like a top 3 pass rush. Their defense is really good.
Absolutely.
They signed Devontae Adams. They're gonna have hopefully a healthy Puka. Give Stafford those weapons. It's a risky buy, but I think that's why I'm buying it is because they're people are kind of lower on them because of that Stafford injury.
Right.
And they also extended Kyler
and I
too, and that could light a fire under him, make him play even better than he's been playing.
Yeah. And I can agree with that for sure, especially with the part about Stafford being one of the toughest quarterbacks. I mean, he's one of the toughest quarterbacks to literally ever play this game. I mean, period. Not only is he one of the most underrated, but one of the toughest for sure. That's an interesting buy because, as you mentioned, there are a lot of people who are selling stock in the Rams because of that injury. Even myself, that's something that was very concerning for me. That was a team I even considered selling because of that injury, because a Rams team without Matthew Stafford is a bad one. Unfortunately, Stafford is a top 10 quarterback in this league without a doubt. And you take that away from a team and then you throw Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback, things could have got ugly really, really fast. So, the reports on that are so back and forth. You'll see reports saying, he's going to be good for week 1. He's showing signs of this. And then you'll have other reports where it's like, this is still really concerning. So it's tough to gauge that. But, I don't mind that buy, especially because a lot of people are selling. So you're buying stock while it's low.
And even if Stafford did die and they cloned him, I think that clone is going into a pretty decent situation. Devontae and
not
Puka,
bad at all.
Kyron, solid offensive line, great defense.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. So those are our buy and sells for the year. Let us know what you guys think about that down below in the comments. But we got some more exciting football news to go over. Not necessarily exactly NFL, but we got fantasy football. Our fantasy football draft was today. The results are in, and I'm hyped to talk about it. So Jaden ended up with the 3rd pick, and I ended up with the 9th pick. And the draft, it was definitely an interesting one. Before we get into our teams, I want to talk about this order. So this was the first round of this draft. Jamar Chase at the 101. Then it goes Bijan, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty, Christian McCaffrey. Right? Nothing too crazy. A pretty solid first round. But as you go deeper and deeper in this draft, there are a lot of picks that I can't even explain. So we'll get into that later. Let's just first go over our team. So Jaden, you started with the 103. I'll let you get your teams or your team out of the way. I know unfortunately you couldn't get your guy, but I'll let you go over your team first. So you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to find my team right now. It's a little tough. Give me 1 second.
No, you're good.
All right, I got it right here.
All right.
So first pick, I had the number 3 pick. Obviously, I wanted Bijan. Didn't fall to me, so I took the next best running back available, in my opinion. I took Saquon. coming off his offensive.
Jaden's also, I don't think we've ever mentioned this, Jaden's a Falcon fan, so he wanted Bijan really badly.
Yeah. And I got kind of lucky. Brock Bowers fell to me late in the second because, we got a lot of Raider fans in this draft, and I'm kind of surprised he fell this low. I'm seeing people are really high on Brock. I've seen people say take him even in the first round. Like he has that type of upside. And I got him late in the second, and I love that. And then on the swing, I was able to snag Lamar Jackson, first quarterback off the board. Yep. And so going into the fourth round, I had Lamar Jackson, Saquon, and Brock Bowers. And then I double up on receiver in the fourth and fifth. I get Garrett Wilson and Xavier Worthy. And then I actually triple up in the sixth. I get Calvin Ridley, too. I like that. That was one of my favorite picks. I'm really big on Calvin Ridley this year. I think he's going to be a great weapon for Cam Ward. Nice safety blanket. He's really good at sitting down in coverages and just getting open for a quarterback who likes to improvise like Cam Ward. And then I took a swing on not a swing, because this is about where he's projected in the seventh round, sixth round-ish, Travis Hunter. I don't know if we established, are we going to get points for, his defensive?
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I don't think so. I think
they have him labeled as wide receiver and cornerback.
Yeah, I really don't know how that's gonna work, because I feel like if it was the opposite way, like let's say you were playing a defensive league, I feel like that would be really strong to count his offensive stuff too. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Travis Hunter would damn near be the 101 in defensive draft. Like, I don't know. I'll have to look. I feel like no. But
with that being said, I think he's going to end up playing more snaps at receiver than corner. I think he's probably a better receiver than corner. And
really,
yeah, I know that's
a little bit off topic, but
I think he looks better as a receiver in my opinion. He just looks more fluid. I mean,
okay,
he's just really quick. He's a very good route runner. I don't know. In my opinion, I think he's a better receiver than corner, but. And then to round out my starting lineup, I got Jaylen Warren in the eighth. Not really who I was hoping to get Caleb Johnson. I think that was who I was targeting with this pick, and he got picked a couple picks before, so I just took the other Pittsburgh running back, kind of best player available at that point. And that was my start. That's my starting lineup: Lamar, Saquon, Jaylen Warren, Garrett Wilson, Worthy, Brock Bowers, and Calvin Ridley in the flex. And then my kicker, you don't care about my kicker and defense. Boswell, defense, I got Niners defense. My bench is solid. I'm not too crazy about it. I got Pittman, Michael Pittman Jr., Judkins, Darnell Mooney, Rashad White, Jordan Love, and Darren Waller. Because he's projected to be Miami's starting tight end coming off of, I don't know, year layoff, 2-year prep, career layoff or whatever. Divorce.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does this year, but I think he's pretty old, still be effective.
Too. I don't know.
Yeah.
How old is
no, he started super old.
He's probably
because
32,
he had that time in Baltimore.
Now, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad team at all, especially for the 103. Obviously, didn't get your boy Bijan, but yeah, I do really like your team, especially last year. I think it's so funny to look at that. Like, if you had that team last year, those first 3 picks, you're undoubtedly winning the league. Like, it's so funny to look at how fantasy just from like last year or 2 years ago, like, it's so funny to look back at stuff like that. And then you got me. My team, I'll just go over my lineup first, and then I'll talk about where I took them, why I took them, and whatnot. My starting quarterback is Caleb Williams. My 2 running backs are Omarion Hampton and Chuba Hubbard. My 2 receivers are Puka Nacua and Brian Thomas Jr. My tight end is Mark Andrews, and my flex is Emeka Egbuka. Off the bench, I have Pop Douglas, Jared Goff, Woody Marks, DJ Moore, George Pickens, Kyle Pitts, and Tony Pollard. So in the first round, my strategy this year, I even made a short about this. I really, really wanted Nico Collins. Really, really bad. And I almost thought there was no world I didn't get him. And he ends up going number 6 in this league. So obviously, there were people who did their research, and there was people who really, really liked Nico this year. Obviously, he has a ton of hamstring concerns, but I didn't mind that at all. I wanted Nico Collins on my team really bad. But I ended up getting Brian Thomas Jr. in the first, and I'm not mad at that at all because that was who I wanted in the second round, and that pick was not too far away. That was like 6 picks away. So I was not too mad at Brian Thomas Jr. there. And then I know that the Stafford injury is making a lot of people be concerned about Puka, but I'm like, that talent there is just too difficult to pass on. I felt like, let's say Stafford does play 80% of the games this year, Puka Nacua is one of the best wide receivers in the league. When healthy, when Stafford's healthy, this dude is a walking 85 yards a game. He's unreal. He's an unreal receiver, Puka is. So as far as a PPR league, for me to have Puka, for me to have Brian Thomas Jr. in Liam Cohen's offense, I am stoked about those 2 picks. And I think the thing that I like most about my team is my depth, right? I love Emeka Egbuka. My goodness, that's my favorite pick of the draft. I think he's going to be such a steal, potential league winner. But my receiving room, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr., Egbuka, DJ Moore, and Pickens. I have so much depth where it's like, if I need to make trades, whatever it may be, a player starts popping off, I want to go get a running back, I want to go trade for a new receiver, I want to get a tight end, whatever it may be, I got loads of talent. And then even like a Tony Pollard off the bench. Tony Pollard for me last year was pretty damn solid. And I think he's going to do the same thing this year. I mean, just a walking double digits a game. And the same thing with Chuba. I have a lot of players that I had last year, which I think my bias was riding too high because I had Brian Thomas Jr. last year, stud, traded for him. So stoked when I got him. He was amazing for me. Chuba and Tony Pollard I also had, and they were both amazing for me. Again, they weren't like these 30 points a game, but Tony Pollard every single week was like 12 points, and then Chuba Hubbard was like 18 a game. I mean, they were just super consistent. So I almost felt like I needed. Yeah, right. But I needed them on my team this year again. My quarterbacks, Caleb Williams and Jared Goff. I don't mind at all because I forgot to mention this, but this is a 6-point passing league. So quarterbacks, I don't like to go quarterbacks early because I feel like the value just isn't there, right? You look at a guy like Jared Goff where Jared Goff can throw for 31, 32 touchdowns this year. And it's like, that's amazing. I got him in like the 12th round and it's 6-point passing. That's no different than if I mean, I guess it would obviously be more, but if Jalen Hurts has a 23 passing, 11 rushing, and he's getting took in the 5th round, it's like, give me 32 touchdowns in the 12th round. You know what I mean? So 6-point passing changes the game a lot. So Jared Goff, I really like. And Caleb Williams, obviously, I mentioned I'm buying so much stock in the Chicago Bears. I think Caleb Williams is going to be amazing. And he has the rushing upside. So I love that pick. So my team, I think it's solid. This obviously went a little bit different than I thought it would, but it also went a little bit different in a better way because I thought there was no way I was going to get Puka in the second, and I didn't know if I was going to get Egbuka in, what did I get Egbuka in, like the 8th or 9th? I thought someone would have for sure snagged him earlier, so I'm a little bit upset about certain players I didn't get, but I'm also stoked with some players that I really did get because I also really like Amarion Hampton. So a ton of things happening in this league. But this is what I really wanted to talk about, right? As I mentioned, I went over the draft order. We had some unreal reaches.
Can we talk
in this
about
draft.
Austin Eckler in the 4th round?
Oh my God. This.
I wanted to gouge my eyes out.
We've been doing this for a few years now, and we do a draft board every year, right? You can even see it right there. It's not fully in the frame, but you can see I got it tacked up right there, right? So we're getting all these players ready. And my boy Jeremiah, shout out to my boy Jeremiah, that we were dying at this. We got our draft results back at the end, and I've never seen this before. Been doing fantasy for, 6 years now? I've never seen this before. He got an F grade. He took Cortland Sutton in the 3rd, which even though Cortland Sutton is actually getting a lot of praise recently, I just think that was early. I think you could have got him in the 4th. And then you look at his 4th round pick, and as Jaden mentioned, this was Austin Eckler at pick 43.
Over like Breece Hall, by the way.
Yeah, I'll just go over the next few picks. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., Terry McLaurin, Isaiah Pacheco, like
I mean, you gotta.
Austin Eckler.
He tripled up on receivers, so that's why I don't like doubling or even tripling up on receivers early, because you kind of feel like you're pigeonholed to take a running back, and that's what happened, because that's what he said. He said, like, what running back was available? Like, who was I supposed to take? But it's like,
it's like
Eckler,
anybody else but Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
What are like his ADP was like in the 140s. He went at 43. I mean, oh my! You want to look at the names around 140?
Keep in mind, there's money on the line in this.
Yeah,
league.
this is $100 league, $1,200 pot. A winner wins. The championship winner wins 1,000. Second place gets doubles their money, so they get 200. If you look at other players in the 140, Trey Benson, Rashad White, Marvin Mims, Ray Davis, Braylon Allen, Tyler Algier. These are backup running backs. That's why they're going in the 140s and not in the 40s, because that's what Austin Eckler is. He's a backup. I mean, oh my goodness.
Austin Eckler in 2025 is insane.
It's the most unreal. And we had a ton of reaches. I mean, Evan Ingram went 2 picks later at 45.
I just think of that
Evan
play.
Ingram was not.
I just think back at that play when what were they playing? The Chargers last year?
Oh, when he was like
broke
running
out
up
on
the sideline.
He's like
oh
a
my
fucking
God.
quicksand. Bro.
Unreal.
Like, bro,
So,
I don't know.
Austin Eckler at 43, Evan Ingram at 45, Dak Prescott at 55, which felt really early because I did a lot of mock drafts before this, and I really liked Dak in like the 8th or 9th round. He went in the 5th round.
Keep in mind, a lot of those mock drafts you did probably didn't even have 6-point passing touchdowns.
Yeah, true.
So in 6-point passing touchdowns, that makes quarterbacks
But
be drafted.
You also have
it'll
like
naturally make quarterbacks drafted later though. Like
you have like Patrick Mahomes at 62 and Baker Mayfield at 69. In a lot of my leagues, Mahomes and Mayfield are gone. Excuse me, are gone by like the 6th or 7th round. So it's like I feel like quarterbacks still stayed for a while, but I don't know, because like even on the listing, like Dak Prescott, where he went, he was not ranked above Mahomes, Mayfield. I don't even think he was ranked above like Bo Nix or Kyler Murray. Like he was below all those guys. Because I remember looking, I had him queued. He was like, I think he was in between Herbert and Purdy. So it's like he went a lot earlier than a lot of people expected. I want to see if there was any other crazy ones. There was a defense really took in early. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was an 8th round pick. It's unreal how much he's been rising. I was kind of low-key buying the hype. Like I thought I could snag him in like the 11th or 12th.
Right,
that's what it was.
Taking Krosky-Merritt over Eckler. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%. Broncos defense went round 9. That's what it was, and that was.
I mean, I probably wouldn't even drafted a damn defense if they gave me the option.
Yeah,
like defense is like such an unimportant like.
Yeah,
you switch it.
I mean, it's just so
matchup based. Like it's
swinger,
completely matchup based.
Yeah, I get it. You want to get your positions, but it's like you can draft league winners this year. I got Chuba Hubbard last year in like the 12th or something. He was a 1,000-yard running back with 10 touchdowns. Like I don't know. Yeah, some crazy picks near the top. The rest of the draft is pretty normal. I don't think we had anybody too crazy get drafted down here. Ollie Gordon went in the 14th, who I was low-key thinking about snagging in the last round. Fortunately, he got took way earlier. Yeah, outside of that, nothing too crazy, but my goodness, when that Austin Eckler came across the board, I mean, we were shook. We were shook.
I thought I was fucking dreaming. I didn't think that was real.
It was unreal. So
it's like selecting Brian Robinson instead of Bijan at number 1.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes me think of like I mean
it's crazy.
I was hoping he didn't mean to do that, but
by the way,
he backed it up in the message in the group chat.
The lowest projected, the second lowest projected in this league is 119. The guy who took Austin Eckler is projected 109. He's projected to lose by 15 points before the game has even started.
You're talking about week 1 matchup?
Yeah.
Projection. Oh, yeah.
He's projected 119. His starting lineup: Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Isaiah Pacheco, Nico Collins, Ladd McConkey, Tucker Kraft, Cortland Sutton. Don't get me wrong. He's got some sleeper. Like, he could end up winning some games for sure. Obviously, he's going to win some games. But he could end up doing decent if Nico stays healthy. And, players like Ladd. And, I mean, stacking Herbert and Ladd is not too bad. But I don't know how much touchdown upside Herbert has in that offense. But, a Greg Roman offense,
I don't know. Germ, too. Because, he finished last year.
Yeah,
last place.
But he also gave up because of the Christian McCaffrey injury. Like, he
took McCaffrey at 1, even with the injury concern.
Bro,
he's a
didn't
Niner
he reach
fan.
on somebody in the second?
I can't remember.
My goodness, I want to look back at that draft because I think he did the same thing.
But it's like, you want to feel bad for him, but he's drafting these fucking players.
Yeah,
It's not like he's taking Jamar Chase at 1 and then Jamar tears his ACL or something.
And I don't get it because he'll have
McCaffrey last year with the injury concerns.
He'll have a pick like Nico at 6, where it's that's a pick where it's like, oh, you're kind of paying attention to this stuff. Like, you hear the reports on Nico. Oh, he was wide receiver 1 before he went down with injury last year. I think he averages like top 3 points per game over the last, 2 or 3 years, whatever it is. And it's like, then you follow that up with Austin Eckler. And it's like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? So I don't want to keep getting on my boy Germ. But yeah, that's our league. Like I said, this is a $1,200 pot. I'll just quickly go over my starting lineup, or I'll go over my whole lineup again. Caleb Williams, Amarion Hampton, Chuba Hubbard, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr., Mark Andrews, Emeka Egbuka off the bench, Pop Douglas, Jared Goff, Woody Marks, DJ Moore, George Pickens, Kyle Pitts, and Tony Pollard. And Jaden, you can even run through your team real quick again, and then just you guys let us know what you think about them.
My starting lineup: Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Warren, Garrett Wilson, Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers, Calvin Ridley in the flex, and Chris Boswell at kicker, and 49ers defense, which that's probably going to change week to week. Bench: Michael Pittman Jr., Quinshon Judkins, Darnell Mooney, Rashad White, Jordan Love, Darren Waller, and Chris Boswell. Also Travis Hunter, too.
Yeah, so those are our teams. You guys can grade those F through A, A through F. Even let us know some of your teams. I'm so super curious to see what you guys did. But I'm pretty stoked for this season, man. I can't wait. I got a bunch of players on here that I think are sleepers. I think my 2 biggest wild cards are Caleb Williams and probably BTJ. I'm buying a lot of stock in him. I think last year, obviously, if I can get the exact same production he did last year, I'd still be happy. But I'm expecting him to go crazy. And same thing with Caleb Williams. So I think those 2 are my biggest X factors this year. So that's the fantasy football talk. Before we wrap up today's video, obviously, we got to get to off the field. One of my favorite topics where we are talking nothing football related. This is completely things non-related to any sports. Well, I can't say any sports because once like basketball season starts, that'll probably be something we talk about in off the field, but nothing NFL related, as I mentioned. And I only got one thing today, and I saw this on Twitter. This thing has went super viral, and I just wanted to talk about it. Wanted to get Jaden's opinion on it as well. Wanted to see what you guys think about it. And I love these type of questions. Would you rather get $10,000 a month? And we're going to do, post-tax. So this is just flat. You've been taxed on this. So you're getting $10K a month doing nothing. Like you don't have to work a job. You can obviously do whatever you want, but you're not required to get up and go to your 9 to 5. You're just getting $10,000 a month in your bank account every single month, flat. You get that no matter what. Or would you rather get $100,000 a month working your current job that you have right now, Monday through Friday, 12? I actually want it because I almost feel like that's too easy. I remember when I saw this, I wanted to extend that. So $100K a month working, we're going to say Monday through Saturday, 12 hours. Because I feel like Monday through Friday, that's almost a no. We'll keep it the same, and we'll get both opinions. So 10K a month doing nothing, or 100K a month working Monday through Friday, 12 hours a day. First, I want to see, because I got a ton to talk about. What would you? We'll keep it at that. Monday through Friday, 12 hours, 100K, or 10K a month doing nothing. What would you personally choose, Jaden? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it changes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why I kept it as like the job you're currently doing, just so it's not like anything add like whoever were to see this. See, but that's different because that would make it easier. It's just like it's just flat, whatever. Yeah, you get the luck of the draw. You get the luck of the draw. Like if you're working, I don't know what they would consider an easy job. Like even what I do, I would consider is somewhat easy. It's not like I'm not, hurting myself, but it would get, boring and that's a lot of hours. 12 hours a day. You're basically working and coming on. I mean, I did that. I worked 12 hours for a consistent long time when I worked in a refinery. That's why I wanted to extend it to that Saturday. Because then did you even answer what would you choose? Monday through Friday, 12 hours,
With
100K or
yours,
10K doing nothing.
Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday?
Yeah, we're gonna keep it at Monday through Friday right now. Monday through Friday, working your current job.
That's where it gets a little tough.
12 hours, and you get 100K a month flat in your bank account every single month. So 1.2 a year, or 120 a year doing nothing. But again, you can like do other things. You can do whatever. What would you personally choose?
I think. It'd be nice to have more money. It'd be nice to have more money.
100%.
But I think with the 10K a month, obviously you can live off that. Even in California where it's expensive.
Easy.
You can live off that. Depending on where, if you want to live in like the city, San Francisco, maybe you kind of got to be little more budget wise, but like anywhere else, really, as long as you're not trying to live in a damn mansion or something, live to your means,
Right.
you can really live a comfortable life with that. And also, 10K a month. 10K a month. It'll allow us to go harder on like the podcast or something.
Yeah.
It's hard with conflicting 100%. Schedules to do something like this. And it just gives you the option to do other things that you enjoy, and you still have extra money. If you want to, get into, investing in things and whatnot, I think I would choose a 10K a month. But it's harder. It's a harder choice with the 5 days a week, 12. With the 6, I'm sorry, no way. 6 12s, that is tough. Especially with my current job. Mine it's kind of demanding.
Yeah. No, I get you. I think the way I thought about this, and it's such a, I can't emphasize this enough. It's such a big difference in money. We're talking about 120K a year to 1.2 million a year. Like, you work 5 years of this.
I'll ask you this. Say you did pick the 100K a month. At one point, would you retire? Like, how many years in?
That's exactly what I was thinking about this, because
you got to just think of that. That is multiple years, 6 days a week. You get no holidays, no nothing.
Yeah.
Do I work on Christmas? Yeah. Like, it's no matter what. If I get lucky, Christmas is on a Sunday this year. That's the only way I get off. Definitely don't get no Thanksgiving off.
Keeping it at this thing, 10K a month doing nothing, 100K a month working Monday through Friday, 12 hours. I think my thought process through this was, with the 10K a month, you essentially retire at the age that you are, right? You don't necessarily have to work your job. Obviously, you're probably going to still do other things. I mean, when you got that much income coming in, you can do whatever you want.
You can do other things to
invest in
make,
this.
kind of
Right.
make up
Do
that
other things
gap
to make
between
money.
the 100K and 10K.
Right.
But all right,
And
go ahead.
I also I look at it like this, right? As I mentioned, 10K a month, you're essentially retiring right there. The 100K a month, it's kind of like, all right, how many years am I working before I retire? And 512s, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, I do that right now and I don't make 100K and it's nothing. I'm doing fine. But it's like 10K a month is still a lot. Like I think I would lean the 10K because it's like if you're doing 100K a month, I would probably say you
By
can
the way,
move
just so you know,
anywhere you want.
10K a month is $62.50 an hour if you were working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week.
Yeah. And that's
$2,500 a week. That's $62 an hour. 62.5.
Right. So you look at the 100K a month, you're probably saying for a person to retire with that money and live comfortably. And again, you can, even with this money, you can do whatever you want after you, I mean, if you're smart, you could just work a year and retire. I mean, if you're super smart, you can probably only work a few months. And then if you know how to invest and what to invest in and do this and that, you have your own business, whatever it may be, that could be a no-brainer for you. But I look at it like 10K a month, I get to retire right now. I'm 22 years old. For the rest of my life, I am bringing in $10,000 a month, $100,000 or $120,000 a year, and I get to put as much time as I want into anything. This is something I'm super passionate about. I can invest so much into the podcast equipment and potentially be doing a podcast plus making that money on the side plus doing whatever it may be.
Plus, you keep your current health also.
Right.
Who knows how taxing, 12 hours, 12-hour shifts for multiple years until you want to retire is going to be on you. So that when you do retire, it's like, do you even want to do anything? Like, you just want to chill, you know what I mean? Are you even going to be interested in the same hobbies? Or are you just going to be like,
right,
I just want to sit on the beach the rest of my life and do nothing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and
now you get all your energy, to do whatever you want. You're healthy. I mean, as long as you're currently healthy, you know what I mean? You get to pursue whatever you want. And I guess you still can do that with the 100K once you retire, but it's just that's in the distant future.
Yeah. And it does different from job to job. Like me personally, I'm a photographer. My job is not super taxing on my body. Obviously, working a 12-hour shift, it would, be pretty tenuous, and it's like it would be a little bit tough. It's not like the worst thing in the world, but I look at it as like working 12 hours. I start at 8, so I would be getting off at 8 o'clock at night. I am essentially going to work, coming home, going to sleep, going to work, coming home, going to sleep. And I'm doing that, 5 days a week. And then Saturday comes, it's like I kind of just want to rest. I'm not doing nothing too crazy on my body, but I think if I get 10K a month, I don't got to do nothing. I can just focus on whatever I want to do.
It's crazy we're saying this. Like, it's some unthinkable thing when people are doing this for way less money.
Yeah. It does feel
ungrateful, but
a little bit. Yeah,
you gotta look at it coming from people in other situations.
Right. Because it's gonna be a no-brainer for a lot of people with the 100K. Because like you said, there's people that are working Monday through Friday, 12 hours, and are probably not even making
Monday
close
through Saturday.
to 100. Yeah.
12 hours.
I mean, yeah. I was doing that. I was working Monday through Saturday, 12 hours, and obviously that was the beginning. So I wasn't making as much. If I would have stayed with that, I probably would have hit that. Not 100K a month, but 100K a year is what I should say. So, yeah, it's a big difference. 100K a month is a lot, though. Like, I look back at that, and it's like,
$625 an hour.
100K a month, bro. Like, you're making 1.2 a year. Like, it's so tough, bro. Like, I go back. Like, I've been thinking about this ever since this tweet. This tweet went crazy viral. From the screenshot that I have, this got posted like 5 or 6 days ago now, and it had 13 million views. 13 million views. So, yeah, this thing went pretty viral. I think with me, I think Jaden also said it, I think I would go the 10K. I think it's just a lot more easier. I can invest in so much things. I can learn new hobbies. I can, go to the gym. I can learn new recipes. I can learn whatever it may be. Like, you just have way more time and you're still making crazy amount of money. And this is another thing I didn't mention. I can move anywhere I want. You know what I mean? I can go to another state and like live somewhere that's super cheap where it's like 10K a month. Obviously, I wouldn't go to like some random state. I would go to a state that, still allows me to do things and be somewhat near family.
I talk about that a lot with like coworkers and stuff. Like, I can't imagine how hard it is to just up and leave a state to a new state.
Yeah.
When you don't like, when you don't know people from that state, like you don't have family out there. You can't just like crash there and like, wait for them, to get back on your feet, get a job. And that's like our situation. Like almost all of our family lives in California.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really have much out of state family at all.
Right. And everybody's like super close. It's not like an hour drive to get to everybody. Like everybody's within drivable distance.
Yeah. So like in our situation, like 10K a month, we kind of need it. It's like I said, it's unless you get like a job opportunity, like job is relocating and they're, offering to, help you find a place, and it's easier that you have a job set up already. But like, I just can't imagine moving to a state, worrying about finding a place to live and getting a job. It's that just seems super stressful.
Right. Yeah. So I think me personally, and you guys can let us know, because we're probably tripping. There's gonna be a lot of people that are probably like 100K for sure, whatever. But it's like, I don't think there's a wrong answer. It is a massive difference. I don't want to, I want to emphasize that 10K and 100K a month. That's a massive difference. You're basically making what you make in a year in a month. You know what I mean? You're basically making in a year what you'd make in 10 years with that other job. So, or not other job, but with the other option. But still, 10K a month, I mean, that's life-changing. You get to do whatever you want to do. You don't have to have the stress of getting up every single morning, going to this job. I think 10K a month, not having to do anything, you can focus on whatever you want. In my opinion, I think that's just a much, I guess just easier option. You want to take the easier way out in a lot of things in life. And in my opinion, I think this 10K for sure. But I go back and forth because like the 100K, bro, that's so much money, bro. I don't know. I think I still land on 10K though. And I would relocate to some other state that's affordable, but also has a lot of good stuff to do. Probably I get my own land, build some cool stuff, save up for a few years.
Let me ask you this.
What's up?
Dinner with Soulja Boy or $200 for the stamps?
What are we doing here, man? We're deep into Off the Field. This was a great episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a subscribe. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to rate us 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Till next time, we're out. Peace.